Look, I'm just a geologist. I like rocks. I love rocks.
Now, Ridgecrest, California. Why have I heard of that recently?
So basically, no one knows where Ridgecrest, California is. I have to bring up a map usually when I'm explaining where it is in California. It's in the high desert, but it was known this past year and got to be a little more well known because there were some large magnitude earthquakes just a few miles to where I'm sitting right now, a few miles to my east. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake on July 4th, 2019, and then a 7.1 magnitude earthquake on July 5th, 2019.
So you guys got some real fireworks on the 4th of July then, both in the air and on the ground.
So, Kelly, I have to ask this, as the podcast conspiracy theorist, did you cause these? Was it from the geothermal?
No, but it's interesting because we live, because of where we are, the geothermal field is not far away. So that was brought up, but it was definitely, we are not anywhere close to creating earthquake this large. That and it's a weapons testing station. So that was also a question was, did the Navy cause these earthquakes? But also not the case.
No, I am not a structural geologist, but 6.4 or 7.1 magnitude earthquake, the amount of energy that is released is redonkulous. Like that's, a gazillion megatons,
At least a gazillion.
Give or take.
Very scientific.
Give or take one. So, no, there are large earthquakes that are induced by fracking or things like that, but not this big as far as I know. But
no, nothing this big. Usually there is in place at, especially where they are doing some, they are creating fractures. There are like stop and go, like stoplight, like green, yellow, red. So if you get to a magnitude, say 3, then that's yellow. And if you got to a magnitude 5, then you are basically shut down. And there's examples of that in Italy, definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Oklahoma they set off a 5.8 earthquake there. So, and
I'd assume ejection had to be scaled back, but I don't know what their it's called an induced seismicity mitigation plan. So if you're inducing large magnitude earthquakes, then you'd have to back off on whatever it is you're doing to cause them.
Yeah. And, just for the lay person listening, a 5.0 magnitude earthquake and a 6.0 magnitude earthquake are, one is not one order of magnitude, or a 5 is not.
It's not linear, right?
Yes, thank you.
It's exponential,
Jeez.
yeah.
But it's not true logarithmic. Is that correct? I know it's on a log scale, but it's not a log 10 base 10 scale.
Log 33.
Thank you. It's a log 33. So, even a 5 to a 6 is not 10 times bigger. It's like 33 times bigger.
Yeah, because a 5 to a 7 is 9. It's almost 1,000 times.
There you go.
Damn.
See that?
That's crazy.
Man, I'm so glad I'm the mathematician on this podcast. Because how many times did I take Calc 1 and 2?
4. You said it last time.
Yeah. See, I can't even count that.
Checking us here, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Kelly, you're killing me.
Didn't mean to throw you under the bus there. I'm sorry.
Just think about it. If I had passed both of those one time each, we might not be friends.
That's fair. See, none of this would be happening if that was the case.
There you go.
I think it's fake.
Yeah. So I've got a question. Chris looks like he's ready for you, but so
you're the host of this Zoom now, buddy.
Looking at the map of Ridgecrest, it's in like the middle of California, which is well off of the San Andreas Fault.
It is. So what's interesting about seismicity in California, and not something that I really knew before these events occurred, is that the largest magnitude earthquakes that have occurred in California in the last 20 years, actually in the last 200 years, since the late 1800s when one happened north of us, have all happened in the Mojave Desert. So in this area where we are, up to the north of us, to the northwest of us, and then down to the southeast. So there's been large, like 7.0 magnitude plus earthquakes that have occurred on this side of the Sierra Nevada. And that's because this side of the Sierra Nevada accommodates 25% of the slip from the San Andreas Fault. So from that plate boundary, we actually, on this side of the Eastern Sierra, accommodate 25% of the slip that occurs along that plate boundary. So it's a really active area tectonically. And it has had, and that's what I think is most interesting, is the San Andreas Fault is very well studied. But there's been a crazy amount of seismicity, large magnitude seismicity on this side of the Eastern Sierra that isn't as well understood. A lot of people have been working on it for a long time, but it just doesn't have the funding that has gone into the San Andreas Fault. So it's pretty interesting to me, the amount of seismicity that's occurred on this side of the Eastern Sierra Nevada in the last like 200 years.
So it sounds like there's not as many people living on the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada.
Exactly.
Population density. Yeah.
That's very true. And if this earthquake were to have occurred in, say, downtown San Francisco or San Diego or LA, it would have been devastating. But it was just lizards. I mean, it was just luckily placed where it was, or occurred where it was, where it did. And it just so happened to be July 4th, which is also crazy because it occurred on the base. And a lot of people then were not working because it was July 4th, or basically no one was out on range. So it was interesting that it occurred on July 4th. So there was basically no one out on the range along this fault scarp in either orientation. So it was very interesting timing. And then also, if you, there's not many people out here for it to be a problem, I guess.
Yeah.